do. Okay, so we had a subcommittee that, oh, I see Joy just entered the room. Who is that? Okay. Hello, welcome.
Hi.
Hey,
Yeah, we should, I'm sorry, we should probably do some introductions just so that everybody gets one another. So Benson, do you want to, everybody knows you, Benson.
Yeah, hi, I'm Benson Medina. I'm with Rotary Club of South Hilo. I'm the district trainer and past president of the club.
Okay, thanks. Karen?
Karen Wilson from the Conemaugh Rotary Club. Long ago, past president, and currently youth services.
Thank you. And Rick? Oh, sorry, just as you're taking a drink, Rick, sorry.
Rick Tabor, Rotary Club of Honolulu, and yep, that's me.
Great. Patricia, Patty?
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Patricia Terada. I'm with the Rotary Club of Hilo, and I think we're going on, what, 4th year now of RYLA? Yay, yay.
Yeah. Jen?
Jen Tenoy, also Rotary Club of Hilo, serving on the board as treasurer this year, and been involved also with RYLA for about 4 to 5 years now. Yeah.
Thanks. Alan?
First of all, I want to thank you, Tim, and all the Rotary Club of Hilo people who are helping put this together. Thanks a bunch. I am Alan Clark, Assistant Governor for West Hawaii, past president of Rotary Club of Kona, member of Rotary Club of Kona.
Okay. Thanks. Joy?
Hi, I'm Joy Bromst of Rotary of Honolulu Bay here in Kauai. Aloha, everyone.
Great. Aloha. And Josh?
Hi, I'm past president from the Rotary Club of Hickam Pearl Harbor on Oahu. Yep, that's it.
Thanks. And I'm Tim Hansen, Rotary Club of Hilo Bay, and I've been messing around with this crazy RYLA team for the last 3-4 years. And our district governor asked me to help head up sort of a statewide effort around RYLA. So that's where we're at. And Joy, do you know if Ray is going to be joining us by any chance?
I was having a very difficult time, and I just texted Ray to see if he had a different link to try to get in. And he has not responded back, so I don't know if Ray will be here or not.
Okay. We will see. Oh, thank you, Jen. Ryan, are you there?
I am. Hey everyone, Ryan Char with Honolulu Sunrise, and Naomi asked me last year to be her district youth service chair, but you know, I more of a coordinator than anything than a chair. Everyone here is doing a great job of planning RYLA, and so I'm here more just to kind of listen in and make sure I don't misspeak when someone asks me about it. Again, just listening in, and again, if there's anything from the district side on youth service, please let me know how I can help. Again, I'm not here to tell anyone what to do. I'm more of a just try to coordinate and make things happen kind of guy. So
okay,
that's me. Yep.
Glad to see your smiling face nonetheless. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. And Beverly, we're just wrapping up introduction, so just in time.
Hi, Beverly Hikas, Rotary Club of Hilo.
Okay. Great. All right, thanks. Is that everybody? I believe that it is. So, you know, there was a subcommittee that came together to work on the RFP, and big thanks to Josh, who really put a lot of time into putting it together, but also Rick and myself and Ryan. And so we were able to finally issue that RFP earlier this week. And I think most people saw a copy of that if you were on the previous kind of group email. So that RFP went out to 3 different organizations that have expressed an interest in providing the virtual platform to help host the statewide RYLA program for 2021. And the deadline for them to submit proposals is October 15th. And it's after that date that we anticipate selecting the organization that will help us to make the statewide virtual RYLA Camp 2021 happen. The 3 organizations that expressed an interest and received the RFP, there's an organization here on Big Island called Nalu Kai, and they have hosted a number of other virtual sort of camps, largely around the tech kind of side of things, but they were excited and eager to perhaps meet the challenge of doing a RYLA camp. Gail is the person that helped to turn us on to them. And another group from Oahu called Busy Bee, and Ryan was actually, I think, instrumental in helping us connect with them. They do a variety of educational online programs, and are eager to venture into the possibility of being that organizational host for RYLA. And then the third one was Leadership Kauai. And that's why I'm kind of eager to hear from Ray, because I didn't have a specific contact for Leadership Kauai. So I sent it to Ray, asking him to make sure that the appropriate person received that, so that they'd have the same amount of time to prepare their proposal for us to consider. Joy, would you happen to have a yay or nay, or do you know anything about that?
I do not, but I just text Ray. He did have a prior commitment. He just texted me back, and maybe I'll have something for you in a few minutes.
Okay, great. So, you know, the hope and the goal with contracting with an organization is that they're going to have vast experience in knowing how do we make a RYLA experience that is used to being, you know, an in-person camp, somewhat exciting and as engaging, or close to as engaging, when it's going to be on a virtual platform. So we're looking for somebody that has the experience of doing that, that knows the technical side of making it all happen. I think in the RFP, we were pretty clear that, you know, there's technical challenges that students might face. And, you know, just like, what is their plan to be able to meet this challenge? We laid out our goals and our objectives. And then, of course, it will also largely depend on the cost. What is it that they would need to be charged in order to make this camp happen? It sounds like all 3 of them have a lot of experience, and that they're somewhat familiar with RYLA. Probably Leadership Kauai has the most experience with RYLA, because they've been the main organizers of RYLA for the last few years. Last several years. The Busy Bee folks, 2 of their administrative team are actually past RYLA participants. So they're certainly well familiar with RYLA and what that might all kind of look like. So that's kind of the status of the RFP at this point. Probably, I don't know if the large.
So what I got from Ray.
Yes. Yep.
Thank you. So what I got from Ray is the RFP has been received by Kauai leadership, and should be responding by the 15th of October.
Excellent. So I don't know how we want to go about reviewing and making a final decision in regards to those 3 organizations. I don't know if people are comfortable with the 4 of us that were part of actually putting the RFP together, kind of making a decision or bringing our recommendation to this larger group and then moving forward. My biggest concern would just be that we want to move on it fairly quickly because February is going to be here soon, and we're going to need to get moving on some of the contract and the agreement. So thoughts, ideas about that process, the final decision-making process? Jen? Yeah. Or your mic is on, but for some reason we can't hear you.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I'll talk up. You know, when the three of you took on this challenge to go ahead and find groups that were willing to overtake the challenge that of RYLA being a virtual, I just feel confident in the subcommittee that was appointed that would make the best decision.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts or opinions about that, or are we kind of, oh, Karen?
Yeah, I was feeling exactly the same way. The four of you are, I think, in the best position to know what's going on with it and what we need.
Okay. Does anybody object to that idea of the subcommittee taking those and making the final recommendation to the group? Okay, looks like we're good with that. So that's how we're going to roll. I'm pretty confident that all three have expressed to me their willingness and their eagerness to submit by the 15th. So I'm sure we'll have a good group of proposals to do that, to take a look at. Okay. So I attended the Zone 23 and 24 conference that happened, a virtual conference that happened on Saturday. And I was able to attend a couple of the RYLA track breakout sessions that involved, that included folks from really the western end of the continent, and kind of talking about what they're doing around RYLA and that sort of thing. So I wanted to share a couple of highlights, and I don't know if anybody else was able to attend that or not. I'm thinking that Ryan might have attended. Ryan, were you able to jump on that conference?
I did, but I attended all the Interact tracks. So,
that's what I figured.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Did anybody else attend RYLA tracks on that? So, yeah, we were a fairly small group, but it was really interesting to hear what RYLA programs in California and Arizona, and I think Washington, were doing. One of the districts, just after having to postpone their camp twice, just said, we're not doing it. We're just going to cancel it for this year, try to gear up for the following year, and just kind of move forward with that. The other two folks that talked about what their district areas were doing went virtual. And so it was interesting to kind of just hear how they're planning to do it, or for one of the groups, how they did do it. I think one of the main points that I came away with was that there's a high level of a concern about the integrity of the reputation of RYLA camp, and the recognition that to do a virtual RYLA program should not be necessarily compared to the actual RYLA camp. And so these folks that raised this as a major concern talked about how they have students that use their RYLA graduation certificates to get into schools, to get into military academies, to, that there's a reputation there. The one guy shared that a student was in the running for a particular placement of a program. There were 300 applicants and there were 5 finalists. And he made the final cut because he had the RYLA certificate, because the recruiter that was in charge of this was a RYLA graduate himself. And so just kind of use that to say, you know what, we can't and shouldn't say that what we're going to try to do through a virtual camp is equivalent to what a regular RYLA camp would do. So they were kind of pushing the idea of really referring to a RYLA program, a virtual RYLA program for 2021, that we're going to do our best and it will be great, but it's not going to be the same as what a usual RYLA camp would be. And so I was intrigued by that, and you know, the high level of integrity that they were looking at kind of upholding. I don't know, does anybody have any feedback or thought about that?
Well, it feels like it'll be a workshop, a RYLA workshop,
Hmm.
you know, with kind of conference like, but online.
My initial thought is, how is that going to jeopardize the integrity of the program? I think the integrity of the program can be maintained by the quality of the virtual experience, that these kids can have the same confidence and gratitude for having experienced virtually. And I have no doubt you're going to do a great program.
I agree, because it's like comparing an online degree to a degree with an in-person university.
Yes.
And this is kind of the new norm for students, and we have to ensure that people, or this year's class gets the same experience. I mean, with the programming, the mentorship. I mean, and we're going to have to be really innovative on how they can create those relationships virtually.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's what we're going to look for from the people that are actually do the platform.
Yeah.
When we split out into groups, we could, you know, it's like we talked earlier on, we could mix it that it's, you know, the different islands, the neighbor islands are mixed together from different islands. So it should branch the kids out in a different way than what we can do at camp. And we should take advantage of that. I just don't think we can call it a camp though. I mean, we should title it what it's going to be, but the RYLA integrity should certainly be a part of it. So I mentioned to some of you earlier, we just did a 2 hour and 36-minute legislative meeting. It's the 14th annual one that the Kukua Council, which I'm on, and the HARA, which is Retired Citizens, do. And we had to go virtual. So 10 representatives and senators joined us. And same when I did the National Meals on Wheels conference, the intensity of it was much more intense because you've got the screen, you've got the person right there. You don't have all these distractions. And so we were able to really, it was 2 hours and 36 minutes instead of 2 hours, because we really got into the issues. There's no money next year, and we need services for our kapuna, which is, you know, a huge thing. How are we going to do that? And we were able to do it. So I think with the kids, if we lay it out the right way, it should have that same intensity. And if anything, the integrity should be raised. So we should look that we're actually going to do even better than what we do in camp. The only difference is we're not going to have a campfire, you know, but we could do something around that.
Yeah.
The challenges are going to be greater. And so the experience that you come away with as a student is going to be so much more valued, I think, by those students, that we emphasize that part of it.
I have a quick question, just a thought. Have any of you requested an opportunity to view what one of these virtual RYLA programs has looked like, and be able to say, you know, maybe identify areas that we could maybe enhance or make it better?
I have an email address for one of the places that completed their RYLA camp virtually. That's a great idea. I could certainly reach out to them and see if there was some recordings or you know, what their program looked like.
Right, because, you know, I was thinking about how you know, just when we have our in-person camps, you know, it can be kind of a challenge to keep these kids on task on some things sometimes. And, you know, and how do we do that virtually and keep them engaged? And then what are the repercussions, or how do we bring them back to ground. Some of these kids are, you got to take a minute sometimes.
Yeah.
So just kind of curious about how they might have handled some of those situations as well.
Yeah. So they did talk about what, before I move into some of those specifics, I will say that I know one of the groups that talked about this integrity and concern, they were used to running a 7-day camp, a full week camp. They did a week camp for boys, and then they followed it up with a week's camp for girls. And now they were doing I think they were moving to a 2.5-day camp. So a program. So I think part of it was this, like, oh my God, we're not giving them 7 days worth of stuff. We're only giving them 2.5. Is that fair to call it RYLA, a RYLA camp? But I love Josh's point, which is right. So you do an online graduate program and you get it done in 16 months instead of 24 months. Is that really less than? So yeah. So a couple of other things that they really spoke about that helped to make their RYLA program, their virtual camps, good was lots of breaking out into smaller groups. And they talked about, for one of the folks, they actually had like a 2-to-1 ratio in regards to Rotarians that were like virtually assigned to different kids, so that they were constantly kind of touching base with them, and, oh, you're off the screen, where are you now? And, oh, are you sleeping? Or saying, hey, be help with this, and just keeping that communication really, really, really active and going, and also letting the kids know, you're not just one of 100 faces on a big screen. Like, we see you, we're connecting with you, let's make this happen. And
that's where the Rotarac's going to come in.
Yes. Yep. I love that they talked about that using a virtual platform gives you the opportunity to like zoom in kids from around the world. So they talked about having a speaker suddenly tuning in from South Africa that came and talked for a little bit. And then they do something else, and suddenly, whoa, they got somebody popping in from Chile to say a few words. And that the kids were just amazed that, my God, they were connected to the world through the camp. I thought that was brilliant. I thought that was really, really fun to do. So mentors and coaches. One group talked about how they sent out a package of things to each of the RYLA participants. And then inside that box were a variety of different things, like a water bottle and whatever. But there were sealed envelopes that the kids were instructed to open, and it would do different things throughout. So it was a way of providing like this tactile interaction throughout the camp without being there. So they, everybody open envelope number 7, and you see in that, and and so just another way to continue to build that interaction. I love that idea. And through that, we could send out the RYLA t-shirts and, different things to help make this a unified, cohesive kind of experience for the kids. They talked about expanded name tags. I wasn't exactly sure, but something that really helped the kids to identify themselves, and just constantly creating ways for the kids to kind of, be vulnerable and present who they are and share and help them connect through that disclosure in positive ways. Those are really kind of the main things that I heard. And then just relying that the technical side and what the tech support kind of organization that will host can also provide, that there's all of these virtual games and almost like video games that the kids get into that connect them to other people, that it's kind of all beyond me actually. But they were like, we got this, that we can do this. And but we also talked about, that it's got to be something different than what the kids are doing 5 days a week already by attending virtual school. So, how do you do that? And how do you make it exciting and different? People spoke about different formats, just doing like 3-hour blocks over a couple of weeks and calling it, RYLA. Talked about, kind of like mini RYLA camps dispersed through a longer period of time. Others felt like it was more important to just get them and commit to 8 hours on a day, and so that's something that we have to kind of talk about. There was a lot of, one group said that they did 6 to 10 on a Friday night and then a full day Saturday, and that the kids really, were committed then to like, this is our time, this is when we're all together, let's just do that. But that didn't mean a full day of sitting in front of a screen listening to speakers and blah 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 blah. They had scavenger hunts that sent the kids out to do things and come back, and they had to work as groups to build things, and just all of this fun and interactive kind of things. So I think a lot of this building of what it could be and what it will look like, I think we have to take a lot of advice from who we contract with. But we also, as a planning group, have to be able to provide the content of what it is that we want to make sure that these kids walk away with from their RYLA experience.
Hi, Tim.
So, yes.
Tim, did the previous Rotary clubs that did virtual RYLA, did they get a feedback, a survey from the kids to, to just kind of let them know what they thought about it, and if that had been shared with you in regards to their feelings about virtual?
Nobody talked about that, and to be honest, our breakout session, we ran over time, and this is a technical part, suddenly it starts telling you at 45 seconds and everybody's trying to, and then it just shuts you off, and then you're back, back to the larger group. So that would have been a wonderful conversation to have. It did not happen in the group that I was in. But again, I have email addresses for 2 people, someone from District 5495, and I'm not sure where the other person was from. But I could follow up with them and ask about that, because I think that that feedback would be wonderful. Yeah. Making notes. So yeah, so that's just kind of my quick report out on that conference and things that I kind of learned. I know that when we put together the RFP, we were leaning towards a 2-day camp, a Saturday and a Sunday. And not sure how many hours and how late into the evening, or what to do, or if there's a virtual option to do a bonfire and make s'mores. I mean, who knows what this technology is able to do.
Need the parents' help there.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
It's in the box.
In the box, yeah, exactly.
Put the marshmallows in the box.
Yep. Jen, if you do the box, I prefer red wine. Just send a bottle for me, but don't mix that up with
IPA for me.
Exactly.
Sure. Send me all that. Just give me a list of your preference.
Right. So I wanted to move us into some conversation about the point that Rick brought up, which is, although we're doing a statewide, we really want to make sure that we have some specific things that are island specific. And what might that look like, either as part of that weekend or in addition to? So might we host an in-person gathering with less than 10 people? We talked about that certainly here on Big Island, some of our students are going to have issues with technology. Some students don't have Wi-Fi at their homes, live off grid, and not even sure how the electricity would hold up if we bring it out into the evening. And so is there that possibility that there might be kind of a mini site where 5 students are together with laptops, or I don't know. So I want to be mindful of that, because as we want to reach a diverse spectrum of kids, we want to make sure that we're not excluding anyone simply because they don't have the connectivity to attend an online thing. I mean, I know the schools are dealing with that in Ka'u and in Lower Puna, certainly. And so something to be mindful of. But the island specific activity, you know, what might that look like? So even though we're doing this statewide, I really encourage each of the separate Kauai, Maui, and Oahu and Big Island to begin meeting and thinking about and talking about what might your island specific aspect of this virtual RYLA workshop or program or camp look like. You know, the box that gets mailed out, there might be some specific things for everybody, but maybe we mail them out island specific because there's special things that want to be put in there.
Well, maybe there's more. Maybe there's more than one box. One is more inclusive of all islands, and one is very specific to each island.
Great.
A couple of different groups.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. So does that sound doable in regards to trying to make some of that island specific stuff happen? I mean, I know Rick and Josh, you guys are heading up your Oahu group there. So seeing nodding, you know, Joy and Ray, and I don't know if there's others that are on your committee. I just, and I will get in touch with Mary and I think Dylan, the other person on Maui, and Jen has graciously agreed to help bring together the Big Island folks to begin doing that planning. I just want to make sure that the message isn't getting out that, oh, we're doing statewide, so everybody take a break. It's more like, oh, we're doing you know, island wide or statewide, so everybody step up, get ready on what that's going to look like. And so planning in regards to what that looks like, but also specifically in regards to recruitment, and then making sure working with our clubs around the finances and scholarships so that we're gathering that too. Jen, did you have something?
Oh, yeah, you mentioned it, and of course, would be how do we put this proposal together so that we can submit it to our foundations, and you know, if anybody's applied for matching grants, what is that going to look like? Because yeah, in order to get all of those monies, we're going to have some figures pretty, you know, before the end of the year for sure.
Yeah. I think that once we get the RFPs and have an idea of what the host organization is going to be needing to charge us, and then we'll be able to wrap our head around. I know Naomi's been pushing me. What's it going to cost? What's it going to cost? People are asking. I was like, $175. You know, I don't know. How's that sound? I mean, that's what we charged on Big Island last year. That's what we have charged for the last few years. Realistically, I think it's going to be less than that because, of course, we don't have food. We don't have the camp, the location and that. But we are going to have other expenses that we usually wouldn't. And so I'm not sure. I just think we'll have a better sense after the 15th and after we select the organization. I know at the conference, people talked about how it cost a lot less to be hosting the virtual sort of platforms. But there was also a lot of talk in regards to, okay, nobody even think about wanting to permanently go to virtual just because it's cheaper. Like that can't be an option. You know, we might have to do that this year and maybe even next year, but beyond that, you know, the movement needs to be about bringing people back together as soon as possible.
Well, part of leadership here too is we need to move the kids off of all this virtual stuff so they're actually doing things in person. That's a skill that's being lost, the critical thinking, all that stuff. I do a whole thing on conflict resolution, and that's just a big part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, mindfulness. I mean, just how do you actually approach things and problem solve? It's too easy on virtual not to interact.
Yeah. Yeah, totally agree. Hey, Peter, I want to welcome you and give you a chance to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Pete Schoenberg. I'm president of Rotary Club of Kona.
Ah,
And
excellent.
I'm also our Hawaii Rotary Youth Foundation scholarship chair.
Great. Great.
Good to see you, Peter.
Good to see you too.
Yeah. And you said Rotary Club of Kona.
Yes.
Great.
I was actually in a just got out of a meeting with Naomi. She joined our board meeting, and so Alan invited me to come over and join you guys here. So here I am.
Great. Great. Thanks. Thanks for jumping in with us. So yeah, cost. I mean, that's going to be where it's at. I mean, we are going to be asking clubs to still sponsor kids. The number in the RFP is, we're thinking that we're going to have 100 kids, maybe up to 200 kids. Talked about the challenge in regards to capping or not capping, and what might that look like, and how many adults, again, do we need to make sure that we're going to be engaging to help mentor, guide, coach the students along the way. How will we use youth facilitators so that we have the graduates of past camps come and help? And then, yeah, how might we also include Interact Club folks? Are all part of that strategy to make something that's really engaging.
Well, and Rotaract also, yeah.
And Rotaract, yeah. Yeah. So I meant Rotaract, I said Interact, sorry. So, you know, the recruitment is going to be different and perhaps a little challenging. We are asking that the organization that we contract with, that they have the virtual platform process to be able to register kids, so that their applications will go to them and then come to the RYLA committee on each of the islands to then process the application. But we wanted to have one central spot that it's easy and the kids can just, you know, the parents can get everything there. Kauai talked about that. That's been how they've done it, and that's worked out well. Joy, have you been part of that experience, or can you shed any light in regards to how clubs were billed? Or
No, unfortunately, I cannot. I'm really sorry.
Okay. Do you want to just make something up that sounds good, that inspires us?
Sure, I could do that easily, actually.
Okay. So so we still want to make sure that we involve individual clubs that help reach out to the high schools, that they make the decision and the commitment to sponsor those kids in regards to payment, and then how we process that will be an ongoing challenge. And at some point on our statewide RYLA planning committee, we're going to need somebody that's going to be willing to step up and look at and think about that whole process of the financial side of it. So just planting that seed out there somewhere, because it can be a challenging part, as you know, to collect all the money and process everything eventually. Okay. I guess the last part of this meeting is really to just think about what sort of island specific activities come to mind and what that might look like. I mean, each of the islands will begin doing some of their own planning, and we can share ideas, but even to kick off that planning, what sort of thoughts come to mind? Or you just jump in there? So one
Can you give
idea.
us some hints?
So I was going to give a hint, and you know, one would be a service project. you know, what might be a service project? I'm looking at your park there, Rick, or I'm thinking of some different locations here on the Big Island that, you know, we could have a service community project that is in a space that's large enough that people could socially distance in a safe way, could be out helping with a beach cleanup or tree planting, or some kind of project. We're used to doing ginger eradication up at the Volcanoes National Park is something that we usually do every year. But
We
something
use
like
this
that.
We used a sustainable ocean program here last year that was remarkable. And so their presentation was all about the microplastics and all that kind of stuff, which was cool. And if we did that with them, I mean, we could do that here with them because they have a lot of good videos that they could actually show that work well for virtual. It didn't work so well at our camp, but would work better for us there. And then if we have folks that are actually, you know, familiar with cleaning beaches and the micro, you know, stuff with the pan and all that kind of stuff, we could go out to identified beaches. I mean, that could be each island. So it'd be island specific, but it would be still a group kind of exercise. The kids really liked, I mean, they were a younger guy came, he had really pretty cool guy. I mean, they were just, you know, clamoring around him. He was that kind of charismatic kind of guy. And we were up at Camp Homolani where the person that was doing the training didn't think we'd find any plastics. And they came up with a ton of stuff. I mean, it was unbelievable. But he was able to talk about the different sides of the islands and where the plastics are coming from, which is amazing, you know, from Japan or from Australia, just how it all flows. And he was able to show that. So the kids were really glued and they were really engaged, but then they got to go out there and hands-on actually dig stuff up, you know, and pull it out. And I mean, so that's just one idea. We liked them last year. I put it on my list as one of the programs that we could use. And that could be something that all people could use. And then we just split out into the groups and go to a beach. So that's one idea.
Great.
Yeah, and I think that's pretty cool because, you know, here on the Big Island, we could do an East Hawaii type of beach cleanup and have a West Hawaii type of beach cleanup and see what the difference is between one side of the island and the other. That would be interesting.
Oh yeah, and then take pictures of the stuff and then talk about that and talk about where it actually came from, how it got there, you know, all that stuff. It's the small little microbiotic stuff that the kids were really impressed with, you know, because they didn't know what that was. Yeah.
Wow. So it could be island specific, but yet a whole statewide kind of focus, and then learning the difference. That's a really cool idea.
And I don't know, they may have from their company, they may have people on different islands. I'm not aware, but we could certainly find that out because because then they could help out on the different islands too. I'm, you know, I'd have to check. What happened is the person that came with us came to our program. His group was out. I forget what was going on at the time, but his group, there was some emergency going on. So the majority of his group was out dealing with that emergency. So I know they fly to different places to go deal with things. So anyway, we can dig up their name and when we get ready and look at that, if that's something we want to do as a group.
Yeah. Love that idea. Other thoughts jiggling around in anybody's minds?
Well, right now, Kauai's doing a lot of tree planting on the South Shore. So I'm wondering if that might be something that we could incorporate as well. I mean, we're in the process of doing stages of probably planting over 2,000 trees. So that could possibly be something specific for Kauai.
Yeah, yeah. And
Also
something
in
that
West Hawaii.
each of the islands could jump on. And I don't know if there's still a big push for ulu, but I know there was a, you know, really trying to plant ulu, and or maybe each of the islands pick a different tree or a different location, kind of connecting up. Great. Well, as each of you all start to meet in our island specific groups and get our planning going, you know, we can share ideas. Because I really like this idea that it might be different but yet the same, in regards to kind of being connected in that way. But if each of the island groups could start to meet, think about what could be in these RYLA packages that get sent out, and start thinking about who you can engage in being facilitators, not only the youth facilitators, but thinking about the number of adults, Rotarians that are going to be needed for this, and how might you start to recruit those folks. At some point, we'll probably have to do some technology, maybe training or orientation, so folks are familiar with how they're going to be able to, connect with different people. Again, I think a lot of that's going to come out down to the organization that we contract with, and they'll be able to help us along that way. So yeah, just begin to build that excitement. Again, we've given 2 dates in February for the organization to look at and to think about. And so soon we'll have an idea of, which date works best. But we do know it's going to be February. And again, that's going to be coming up quick and before we know it. Yeah.
And Naomi asked me to look into security, safety kind of protocol around kids and online stuff. So I've actually reached out to a cousin of mine that's an school administrator, but also we have somebody in our club that I haven't contacted yet. So I'll try to get that. That may be an additional training for us.
Yeah.
But so I'll follow up on that.
Great. We do need to do the usual background checks on everybody. So even though we're not going to be in person, well, we will for some of these smaller breakout things, I suppose. But even if it's just online, the district is still wanting everybody to complete their background checks. They're good for 2 years. And Natasha is still the contact at the district level to help facilitate that. So whoever in your club is kind of responsible for that, we will need to make sure that those are done for everybody that's connected.
There'll also be a training for that in November for the youth protection piece. So make sure you guys can attend that as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Josh, is there a date in November for that?
I don't know it exactly. I'll let you know, Tim.
Okay. Okay, then we can get that out to everybody as well. Okay. So we just have a couple of minutes left. Any closing thoughts? Anything people feel compelled to say?
Good meeting.
Tim,
I think it's, oh, go ahead.
No, I'm just going to say, my son who was going off to college, they did a lot of their orientations and group things, all of that online. And at some point, the kids were bored and they were actually, my son, playing games while they were supposed to be participating in groups. And I was just concerned about how we're going to keep them interested where they're not, bored and playing games instead of engaging and participating.
Yes.
So that was just a thought I had. And what I remember going through with my son with all of the things he was doing for college online. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would hope we keep it very, very interactive. A lot of breakout rooms, a lot of reporting back, not allowing time to get bored.
Right.
Whoever's presenting needs to design their presentations around, these are kids, how are you going to keep them captive?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Definitely. Joy is sharing that youth protection webinar Zoom is November 7th. You'll see it in the chat. November 7th from 10 to 11:30. And she notes that it's a mandatory Zoom meeting for at least one representative from each club. And but it is open to everybody. And I'm sure that those links to that Zoom meeting will come out from the district. But Joy, thanks for the heads up. So at least we know when to plan that for. And Jen, did you have something you were going to?
Just thank you for the subcommittee that has taken on this challenge, and it seems exciting. I'm so happy to be a part of this and willing to help wherever I can.
Excellent. Yeah, Josh was really a huge leader in that RFP development. So I want to just give him a big shout out for that. Yeah. Rick.
Thanks, Joshua.
Okay, if there's nothing else, I'm going to bid you all a great evening and hope that you rest well and get ready for tomorrow.
Great.
Thank you, Tim. Have a good night,
Thanks, Tim.
everyone.
Thank you, Tim,
Bye-bye.
very much for putting this
Night,
together.
everybody. Thank you. Be safe out there.
Aloha.
All right.
Aloha.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.